Okay, today I'm going to be talking about what causes light. Now, I have said energy and matter are separate. Energy and matter cannot be interchanged. Matter doesn't turn into energy and energy does not turn into matter. And I showed that Einstein's E equals mc squared has energy on both sides of the equation, and so it's a false equation. Matter and energy do not change places. Once you separate energy and matter, everything becomes very, very easy. Energy attracts matter, matter covers energy, and energy moves matter. Your body is a prime example. An electrical signal goes to your muscles, which creates electromagnetic perpendicular movement, which is what moves your muscles. So today I'm going to go through a video with you of somebody trying to tell me what light is, but mainly they discuss what light isn't. So up front, I'm going to tell you what light is. Light comes from energy going through matter, turning perpendicular, creating an Ouroboros torus wave, and then energy shoots out from that matter in straight vortices straight out, and that is how light propagates. But once the energy is gone, that matter along an ether string, the EM field of the universe, no longer vibrates. So the absence of light is caused by the absence of energy through matter. Anything else is mumbo jumbo wizardy rubbish, and it really is. If you turn on a light bulb, it lights up. When you turn it off, it's gone. That's because electricity went through it, creating an electromagnetic field which rotates the particles of matter, which causes a wavelength which then shoots out. Now, this wavelength shoots out, but it releases the matter as dust, which is why we get dust off things. But the signal keeps going until it hits your eye, and your eye interprets it as the signal that left the color that you just saw and entered your eye, and then your brain digitally turned it back into a picture of light. I've said it's darkness outside your eyes because only electromagnetic signals basically are hitting your eyes, and we can't see those. So the back of our eye is a digital interface which takes an electromagnetic wave, turns it into electricity, and then in your brain turns it back into an electromagnetic wave where you can see it. Now let's listen to somebody else talk about what light isn't, but I can't seem to find where they say that how light is made. But they agree with me that in the end, light and matter, energy and matter must be separate, because light is either on or it is off, dependent upon whether energy goes through it. Let's have a listen.
Light is only defined by what it does, and specifically only as its loss of inertia, which exists as a longitudinal coaxial circuit. Whether we're talking about circular polarization or linear polarization, light is a coaxial circuit. It's a longitudinal pulse perturbation with transverse electrical magnetic components. But what about the bold statement, but it's not bold at all, if you bear with me, that light doesn't exist? Light as a noun. We've reified a verb, waves, and of course we can't reify an action or a verb as a principle or a noun. A wave is not what something does. A wave is not what something is. A wave is what something does. Okay. If we eliminate out what light does, attribution, i.e. the waving of light, presumably, right? We assume this. Light waves. Well, you know, light is both a particle and a wave. Well, there's absolutely no basis for any absurd nonsense that light is any sort of quantum atomistic particle fantasy.
And I suppose this vortex to wave rolling 4K sun flare means I've magically shown how light and matter, because matter mimics energy. Energy is travelling as a vortex to a vortex and out. As I've drawn since the beginning, vortex, wave, vortex, wave, vortex. So whatever he's saying is rubbish. Light is created when energy moves through matter, which is why that's lighting up. Those are levels on the sun as energy moves through matter.
We know that if we eliminate out what light does, that light ceases to exist.
Which means energy and matter are separate.
Because remember, wave is not what something is, a wave is what something does. This is waving. No, that's your hand moving, God damn it.
Well, we just saw a wave come from the sun that illuminated matter within its atmosphere and was a vortex to a wave.
When light stops waving, light ceases to be. We've now said that something in principle is only defined in its attribution, and that is called a fallacy of reification. This is what the Platonists and the Pythagoreans and the Neo-Pythagoreans would call bullshit.
And here's where he talks himself into trouble, because if light's on and light's off, what is causing the perturbation of the field? What's causing the perturbation? You can't just say light appears. Where's the light coming from? How does the field move? What's moving the field to cause the light? It's that simple. Energy and matter are separate.
Okay? Now, where's light when it stops waving? Oh, it ceases to exist. So, light is only defined by what it does, therefore light does not exist.
Something is doing something to matter. Otherwise there wouldn't be any light.
Light exists nowhere unless resistance is met.
And so energy meets matter and performs an Ouroboros torus field, which is an EM field. Energy and matter are separate.
Its manifestation by proxy only occurs when mass, i.e. perturbation disruption, occurs. This sets up the loss of inertia, or the energy, if you will, in a very loose term.
You just spoke about matter being perturbed, and then you spoke about energy, which you don't want to do, because it's true. Energy and matter are separate.
Which defines what ignorant human beings conventionally call light. Look at the light! No, that's the loss of the energy of the inertia perturbation, which manifests XY frequency of what we call light conventionally.
And again he has to come round to my way of thinking. He just said energy is then lost perpendicular to the original flow, because that's how energy and matter work. It goes into matter, gives off a signal, the signal leaves, drops some dust behind it because it had to take on the shape of the matter, otherwise you wouldn't see it.
What human beings call light is only the disruption of light by matter.
And because he just talked himself into a corner there and got it wrong, we're going to listen to that again.
What human beings call light is only the disruption of light by matter.
So light is caused by light that's disrupted by matter? That's not even possible, mate. You can't have light with a cause of two different things from one. That's like saying E equals MC squared. More nonsense. The true explanation is that light is caused by matter vibrating and giving off a signal when energy moves through it. Light doesn't move through anything. Energy moves through matter and gives off a light signal. And what you're about to hear now is a massive pile of complicated stuff, because he can't explain it to a 6-year-old. Energy and matter are separate, and a submarine is an energy body going through another body. So it's acting like energy.
The so-called speed of light is the native permeability and permittivity of the inertia as against the inertia itself. It's kind of like the maximum rate of propagation through, it is a barrier. But it's a rate of propagation, it's not a speed. It's the inertia against itself. Kind of like the maximum rate you could actually travel through the water. Actually, the Navy, when it came to submarines, nuclear submarines, they found out that there is a maximum rate that you could actually part the water using high-energy nuclear submarines.
Energy to create light has to move through matter. Different kinds of matter either speed up or slow down the rate of the energy flow, dependent upon how big the perpendicular Ouroboros torus EM field is when it goes through the matter. So he's making it really complicated. Energy moves through matter and it either slows down, goes really slow, goes really fast. That's all there is to it. But he's can't say that energy and matter are separate, but he wants to, but it'll mean changing his whole theory.
Now you think you're seeing a green light here. You're not. You're seeing its manifestation right here and on the sensor.
And of course the matter inside of that light bulb is powered by what? Electricity, which then turns into electromagnetism and gives off a signal. So energy and matter are separate.
This light is only manifest if we ignore everything else in this room, including myself. You only see this green light in two places. The resistance of this plastic cap right here, which has a resistance to the inertia perturbation which is set up, and also the electrical charge created on the photosites of the sensor of this camera, as it is focused, by the way, through glass. Glass, by the way, is an insulator. It's also a capacitor. That's also why glass bowls used to explode in the microwave back in the day. It's not because they got really hot and exploded. It's because it's the electromagnetism that is dropped in a microwave when you turn it on to nuke your food. Yeah, that radiation, which is energy, builds up.
I'm sorry, did you just say that a microwave sent energy into matter and it smashed stuff? Isn't that strange? Oh look, energy and matter are separate.
In the glass, which it's an insulator. It is an insulator, but all insulators are also capacitors. So, light does not exist. What we call the speed of light is actually just a rate of propagation. Light does not travel. Who the fuck else said this, by the way? Excuse my language. Walter Russell said this, light does not travel. He said that a lot.
He was just a man and he was wrong too, because everybody thinks matter and energy are interchangeable, and they're not.
Light exists absolutely nowhere unless resistance is met. Nobody ever sees light. Think about that in your friggin' brain for a second, and you'll never decipher it. Or you will come to the conclusion, which is irreducibly true, that that's true. You know, nobody ever sees light. The only time we see light is when it is manifest due to resistance.
Now I have to say that that's the only true thing Ken has said, but again, he still doesn't understand that energy and matter are separate, but I know he's coming round to my way of thinking. It's pitch black outside of our atmosphere. The sun that you see is the electromagnetic signal hitting matter and creating the sun on our atmosphere, which is why so many flat earthers think the sun's right there when it's not. And I proved it by trigonometry that it's millions of miles off in space. And yeah, you go into space, you can't see any suns. It's pitch black out there, no matter what NASA tell you. It is a signal of energy, and until it meets matter, there is nothing to see. So we see it on our atmosphere, and all the stars and the sun are actually bigger on our atmosphere because it's a concave lens. And so when you go to space, you can't see anything. It's too far away.
Resistance to the back of our eye, light hitting this table, there's resistance. Nobody sees light here. No? This room was filled with smoke, we'd see it, but then we talk about smoke particles in the air. Nobody ever sees light. Nobody has ever seen light. Light is not a noun. Light does not travel. Nothing emits light. This is hardcore, retroductive, Platonic logic applied to the phenomena which we call light.
Now, I already made a video on this maybe 2 years ago saying about how your eyes are dead and that there's nothing to see outside your eyes because you have an electromagnetic interface on the back of them. It's the only way you see anything. We are blind, which is why God says you are blind and deaf, because our ears work the same way. A sound wave hits our ear and then is immediately turned into electricity and back into electromagnetism. So you not only are you blind, you are also deaf to all the sounds that are really going on outside.
Lux e veritas. Do you understand that? Let's have a debate about this. Let's see if you could take any one of the 7 points I made about light and say, you're wrong, you're wrong. No, that can't be true. Let's have a debate about it. I'll destroy you.
Well, I got my side of the debate, and my side of the debate has shown that energy and matter are separate, and you've basically had to explain the same thing, even though you try to explain that light was from light and matter, which is E equals mc squared and nonsense.
Figuratively speaking. Light does not exist. If you remove what it does, you've eliminated completely light itself. It ceases to exist.
But have you noticed he's not explaining where light comes from, how we get light? Because then he'll have to say that energy and matter are separate. He's trying to use his own little theory of blah, 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 perturbations and resistance. I don't care. Energy is resisted by matter and forms an Ouroboros torus sphere, which then shoots out perpendicular, which is how you see. It then forms a sphere of light, which is how you get 360 degrees of light. A signal shot out in every single spherical direction. And if your eye is in the way of it, you will see whatever it is that energy just ran through. Lightning is energy through matter, through the atmosphere, and it destroys it because energy destroys matter.
Light does not exist, light does not travel, light does not have a speed, and nobody sees light. They only see the resistance of that inertia perturbation as manifest due to resistance. Resistance, by the way, is manifestation.
You're wearing the wizard's hat, Ken, because you won't explain what is causing it. What's causing the light, Mr. Wizard?
Resistance is futile now. Resistance is the loss of inertia. That is energy.
And so, that is energy. Now we're getting somewhere, Ken. Now you're slowly trying to introduce it as if it was your idea.
How do you think a radio or anything else works? It works via resistance. You steal energy from one place to power something else somewhere else.
And so there it is. Energy moved and stealing energy, Ken. I really hope that you're not going to be taking it in this direction and not giving credit where credit's due, because all my work shows energy and matter are separate from the very first video that I did. And here you now are talking about energy and matter being separate. Don't think I can't see it.
Anytime you see light, it is because it has lost potential and it has sacrificed its energy.
So now it's running on energy, huh? And it just sacrificed it into an Ouroboros sphere which gave off light, huh? Yeah, it did.
And by the way, all visible light exists, visible light, okay? Exists at the nexus point if we take the electromagnetic spectrum and we subdivide it in a ratio, listen closely, of phi to 1. In other words, we take a single line, we subdivide it in a ratio of 1.618 to 1, making the totality 2.618. We have 1.
Just as a side note here, because I was going to make a video on it, but I can't be bothered. Phi is to pi is 1 to 1.618, and this is my original drawing that I did, and I just used 2 Fibonacci spirals, any size circle round to 137.5. Calculate the distance arc of the 137.5 of the original circle, turn that into a smaller circle, cut that off at 137.5, and then I measured them the other day. And the big circle was 5 inches, the big circle was 3¼ inches, and the smaller circle was 2 inches. And when you divide 3.25 divided by 2, you get 1.625. So I accidentally worked it out by using the Fibonacci sequence, because all energy travel is the Fibonacci sequence. When it hits 137.5 degrees, it can either keep going or change levels up or down, decreasing or increasing energy flow. Interesting, eh? So thanks, Ken, for working all that out for me, but I'd already drawn it back in January 2015.
We subdivide it in the ratio of phi to 1. Nobody even knows what the golden section is. All you people that think you know what the golden section is, I can assure you, you don't know what the hell, you don't know the goddamn hell what the golden ratio is. You think you do, but you have no idea.
And I have to disagree, because obviously I know exactly what I'm talking about. I worked it out without knowing anything about phi and pi. I worked it out because I know everything about the Fibonacci sequence, because I've seen the golden double helix, which is what this is. So I understand exactly how everything travels, and I've put it on video, all to do with the Fibonacci sequence. In fact, I don't think anybody's discovered and shown more in the Fibonacci sequence in everything than me, because God is awesome and just keeps pouring it.
You think well, it's a pretty spirals and shell. It's this, it's that. No, none of you know what the hell the golden ratio is. What's a ratio? What? Phi is to 1, 1 is to phi. No, you think you know what the golden ratio is. You don't. Let's take the electromagnetic spectrum, subdivide it in a ratio of phi to 1. The nexus point, the linchpin, the axis mundi, of where all visible light exists, is at the locus between phi to 1 in the entirety, which is 1, of the electromagnetic spectrum. Do you think that's by coincidence? Do you? Do you?
Well, I'm the follower of Jesus Christ who says there is no such thing as coincidence, and I've said that since the beginning. Otherwise, my whole experience for the past 3 years would just be a massive coincidence of events, except there's been millions of them, so no. I don't believe in coincidence at all, and that's the whole point of that picture on screen. The only thing that is limiting me is my education, the awful education that I received by a state indoctrination school. And so I did the best that I could, and I drew that. And by the math on the right, I've shown that it is phi to pi. The large one is phi and the small one is pi, which is God and Jesus. And if you spin that circle into the other circle, then you have Jesus in the bosom position with the Father.
Interesting, huh? All visible light exists right there. That was just a little sub-note to this video. If you like this video, you could drop me $1 or $2. Or send me a pizza. Just drop me $1 or $2. Tell me to jump off a cliff. There you go. Luxi veritas. I'm sure after this video, a lot more people are going to say, I knew it, he's an Illuminati. Everybody keeps calling me an Illuminati. Nobody that's in the Illuminati has ever admitted to being in the Illuminati, so no one's ever said, hey, I'm in the Illuminati. Nobody's ever said that. After this video, everybody's going to go, he's in the Illuminati. I knew it. You like this video, drop $1 or $2. Tell me to jump off a cliff. Whatever makes you happy. But this is Platonic logic as applied to the phenomena which we call light.
Well, he can use his Platonic logic all he wants, because if you've noticed, all he did was tell you what light wasn't. He didn't tell you what caused the perturbation of the field, did he? Think about it. Go and even watch his video, because I've cut out loads of mumbo-jumbo rubbish. Makes me upset that people are listening to this guy, and he's just talking like he thinks he's right. And he's so wrong, it's ridiculous. He won't give the cause of light. I have applied the logic of double helix energy flow, which shows that energy and matter are separate. Rule number 1. Rule number 2, with subsets of 3. Energy attracts matter, matter covers energy, and energy moves matter. Energy going through matter causes it to give off a signal perpendicular to the original flow. That electromagnetic signal reaches your eye and turns into an electrical signal and back into an electromagnetic signal in your head. That's double helix energy theory. Energy and matter are separate and everything's dead easy to explain. But unfortunately, Ken Wheeler, aka Theoria Apophasis, told you all the things that didn't cause light and how it was all ridiculous. But he never said why we see light. So understand, I'm not having a go at him because I don't like the guy. I like the guy. I'm having a go at him because he's talking rubbish, and he knows he's talking rubbish because he can't get himself to say it, even though he introduced it and said energy moves here and there and this, that and the other. He's yet to say what caused light. And I've said it's energy through matter. So when you hear him say that, you know he got it from me because he didn't say it here. But he then tried to say that energy does things all on its own, right in the middle there, as if to kind of say he knew all about it. So understand that. He didn't tell you how light is created. He didn't, not once. And if you want to point it out to me, I'll go and watch it. But he didn't. He told you all the things that do not cause light and that light doesn't exist. And of course light doesn't exist. It's a signal. So him explaining that means zero. We all know. We can see things, but do we actually see things? No, because our eyes are blind. And we only see a signal, a wavelength signal of energy going into matter. The matter is grooved in a double helix, let's just say, it is because it's designed, it forces it to go through a certain shaped spiral, whether it be green, red, yellow or blue, and then coherent matter is in the shape of a sofa. So you see all the colours because white light went into it with all the colours, and then all those colours were absorbed. The Ouroboros torus field expanded, shot out light in all directions, gave off dust and hit your eye, and that's how you see. Energy moves through matter and creates a spiral. From that matter, it mimics the matter, and then the matter mimics the energy. It's quite funny, really. So it's the matter that gives off the signal, but how does it give off the signal, Ken? You haven't said. You just said light's there or it's not, and then waffled for 20 minutes. Light is there because energy went through it. When you turn off the energy, no light. And so the heavens will disappear like smoke. And yes, they will, because they are mere cigarette smoke rings in space, except a lot larger, obviously. But fractally, they're exactly the same as I've proven on video. And yeah, so Ken's just a wizard who is baffling you with tons and tons of wordage when really he's not said anything in a 20-minute video. So I do believe I've just corrected that and explained correctly how light is created, because I know how it travels, and it travels in a Fibonacci spiral double helix and changes into an Ouroboros torus field and then back to a double helix vortex. Vortex, Ouroboros, vortex. And just to show that I'm not just having a go at Ken, because as I said, I like the guy, he's just being silly. So yeah, these people are wizards too. He's a wizard. He's a wizard. He's a wizard. That's another wizard, the biggest, one of the biggest wizards of all. Another wizard, a tech wizard. None of that, what they do is good for you. Wizard. Bit of a bumbling wizard. Harry Potter, he's a wizard. That geezer, yeah, I don't limit it to certain people. They're all wizards. Chuck, he's a karate wizard. And then the Grand Poobah wizard of them all. Another tech wizard. And another father of wizardry. And I bring them all up like that because they're wizards, which means they have entertaining talk which tickles your ears, but none of it is for the benefit of mankind. And that's why it included tech people, space people, religious nut jobs as far as I'm concerned, lying slime just to get your money. So yeah, wizards abound, and people like Ken L. Wheeler unfortunately is like Simon from the Bible, the magician who was amazing the people with the things that he knew and did, and then he saw the apostles and tried to buy the Holy Spirit. They kind of condemned him, and he asked for them to pray for him because, you know, he thought that what they're doing was brilliant. He just had the wrong idea about life. That's what Ken's doing here. He's basically giving you a wrong idea. But I know he's been watching my videos, and I know he has to come round to the fact that energy and matter are separate. Otherwise, his theory doesn't work, because something is causing the perturbation. And he hasn't said. He's mentioned energy 2 or 3 times now, but he's not allowed because energy and matter in his world are not separate. Whereas I've said they have, and I'm the only man who has. So, Ken, come around, mate, and just say hello to me. My email is scientifically@outlook.com. It's on my Google page, it's no secret. I'd like to just give you everything I have. All you got to do is make mention where you got it, because I've made mention where I got it, which is from God. But until you do that, I'm just going to keep smashing all your work for the rubbish that it is, because you've got no explanation. You just got a 20-minute video putting people down, bringing out the fallacy of appeals to authority by name dropping, and not explaining light. You explained what it wasn't, and a 5-year-old can do that. I've just explained what light is and how it is created. Energy through matter creates light. Thanks very much. My name's Lee, and I'm going to smash anybody's work that comes in front of me. It's not just him. I follow the Christ, and you don't know him either unless you are agreeing with what I've put, because I've shown this form of travel and that energy and matter are separate in all life. And if you think I'm wrong or deluded, you don't know me, and you don't know my God, because you don't understand the Bible. I've done enough with all this kind of stuff. This is why I wanted to talk to Ken, basically, because magnetism isn't what I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with everything. So I'm going to move on from this soon, because I've defined the field, shown how everything is moved. Energy moves matter by rotation. It was easy. I'm going to just move on to something else. So the only reason that I'm actually sticking with a couple of Ken's videos is because of the deluded nonsense that he's trying to teach, as if he's some kind of philosophy hero, when he's not. I've just shown that his latest video is a pile of rubbish, and he's basically trying to con you into thinking he just explained how light travels and what light is, when he didn't. I follow the Christ Jesus, and I believe in truth, and I'll speak how I want. Thanks very much.